I quit school on my birthday, November 17th, and it was my 17th birthday. And the reason I quit school was that day I had an English teacher that told me I would never amount to anything in my life because I couldn't grasp the English language. And so I quit school that day and I came home. And my father said to me, you got a few choices here. Go back to school, get a job, or join the military because you're not sitting at home. I had goals that I wanted to attain. One was to be a sergeant before my father. My father retired as a master warrant officer, so of course I wanted to either retire at the same rank or above him in the military as the chief warrant officer. I never ever thought about going into a military career, into an officer career in the military. I was very comfortable in the non-commissioned officer roles within the military. So I did really well. Like I knew what I was doing and I was making my career. My career was in sort of that trajectory. And the unit that I was in before I was removed from the military was my last sort of check mark in order for me to be not only a sergeant, but being able to be even potentially a career manager in Ottawa, overseeing other careers. So yeah, that's my goal was to sort of be up in that area of the military. Stuff started to unravel shortly after I pulled my first release from the military. My ex-wife and I were both administrative clerks in the military. We both excelled in our field, both of us. And we both knew what would happen if I came out. We both knew that there was a risk of me being under investigation, and my knee-jerk reaction was to put my release in, and so I did. They started after I pulled my first release. My ex-wife confided in somebody who ended up breaking her trust and phoning my boss at work, and then it started. It started slow, but it started methodically. So yeah, the rape was the last thing that happened. And how they whispered into my ear that I better not. It happened shortly after I keep saying I submitted my release because that's what I've been saying for the last 30 years. I never really talked about what happened to me, not even to my husband. But I remember him whispering in my ear that if I pulled my release this time, they wouldn't find me. So, and 2 months later, I was out. I was on the streets, homeless in Toronto. So, that's probably the most painful thing that I went through. My career. So, and I never knew who did it until just recently. So, yeah. And I was on the street for three and a half, 4 months. So, yeah, I would sleep with my shoes wrapped around my neck or under me so that they wouldn't get stolen by anybody at night. And I used a homeless shelter in Toronto quite regularly, to a point where that's where I got my first sort of real job in Toronto. Was the executive director got funding to have me hired part-time to drive a van and pick up food donations from the local hotels in downtown Toronto. So that's how I got back on my feet with my first job. Don't change anything about how it happened, because it made me who I am today. So it made me an advocate. While I have never really spoken about my experience in the military, not even with my husband, and you can ask friends that I've had for 20, 25 years that only know I was in the military and I was out because I was gay. That was it. I've never talked about my postings. It's never been part of my conversation. I burned my military records, when I was homeless in a park, and I just never went back to it. I just marched forward and moved on and tried to deal with my life. But a lot of things that I've realized, like my obesity, stems from my emotional eating, my, sometimes very chaotic flashes of rage or deep bouts of depression that I've had over my life. I'm starting to get answers to now as to why I had that and what was going on in my life with, my relationship with Scott. And, and it's very, it sort of makes sense now that my psyche, your subconscious really does, sort of take care of you. It doesn't let you get any more hurt than you can take.